Hey, welcome to the Matt Gerow Show. This is Matt Gerow, your host, and I am joined with my co-hosts, Penny and Oscar. They were here last time, but they were behind me. So if you guys thought they weren't here last time, they were. It was just nap time. So they had to relax a little bit. And they've been running around going crazy. They finally sat on the couch. So I think this is the best time for me to try to get this recording done. We'll see though how far we can get before they start causing mayhem. Um and especially with this guy chewing his little toy back there. That can definitely get noisy. So we may have to make some cuts. Or I'll just talk too loud. You won't be able to hear it. One of the two. Getting into it though, the Matt Gerow Show. Last week we went over NFL Week 2, some UAP stuff, a little bit NBA stuff. Kind of the same deal here today. Just expounding on those things. I went ahead and I looked into doing some awards predictions too for the NBA season. Just some like way too early awards predictions. So yeah, I'm excited for this podcast. Let's jump into it. We're starting with the results of NFL Week 2. I'm going to get those pulled up right now. Yeah, and we are going to have to take that toy away from the dog. So be right back. All right. Hopefully we can get this done quickly enough to where he won't be too upset that I took his toy away. Anyways. Yeah, so week 2 results. That's what we were going to be looking at. Pulling those up right now. I want to have the ESPN scores personally. I just like the way those look when they're all down in front of each other. Scores. Bum bum bum. It's pulling up. Here we go. It's on week 3. Let me change it to week 2. There we go. So Eagles beat the Vikings in a pretty close game, 34-28. Vikings 0-2. It's looking scary. Kirk Cousins having a pretty good season, just not winning yet. But the Eagles, they still seem to be pretty good. One thing about the Eagles that's really standing out right now is that tush push thing, which if you don't know what that is, let me get my camera back up here so I can see myself. That if you don't know what that is, that's basically the quarterback sneak, and they're basically pushing Jalen Hurts' ass into the asses of the offensive linemen. So it's called a tush push. To get 1 to 2 yards. They're so good at it, they can basically get almost 4 yards every time. So yeah. Next after that we had Packers Falcons. Falcons won that game by 25-24. Pretty impressive game for their quarterback, Desmond Ridder. 237 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But obviously the big story with the Falcons has been the running back, Bijan Robin. Sorry if I said that wrong. Bijan. I think it's Bijan Robinson. Bijan, dude, you're good. You're really freaking good. You are the hope basically for running backs right now. If you can continue to be the reason that the team is winning, you're gonna last on this team for a while and in this league. And the running backs could really use some new lifeblood like that with the whole contract stuff going on right now. So yeah, if you haven't tuned into the Falcons this season, I would definitely look into it because they've got a really great young running back, Robinson, who's a rookie, probably going to be rookie of the offensive rookie of the year. And they have this other quarterback that's young, Desmond Ridder, that we really haven't got to see that much of till this season. So it's interesting. Next, we had Raiders Bills. Bills blew out the Raiders. They got back to their normal Bills self. Bills, that's like a real person, Bill Self. Anyways, 1 second. Dogs are getting a little crazy. I'm gonna have to break that up. All right. Should be enough of that for now for the rest of the podcast. Where was I? Talking about the Bills. Yeah. Josh Allen, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook's brother, James Cook, 17 carries, 123 yards. They put up 21 in the first half. So Raiders only had 10 points at that point, and they couldn't score for the rest of the game. Kind of killed it for them. And the Bills get back on track. They're now 1-1. That first loss of the Jets probably still really stings. The Ravens-Bengals game did not disappoint, 27-24. The one thing that did disappoint is the Bengals quarterback, Joe Burrow, re-aggravated or re-injured his calf again. Just terrible for me because that's like he was basically my best fantasy player. My two best fantasy players are basically both injured or something like that now between him and Cooper Kupp. And I'll get more into my fantasy team later because I've been doing a lot of trades trying to improve the team. But yeah, that's very unfortunate for the Bengals. Definitely not the start of the season they were hoping for, going 0-2. The Ravens, though, look really good. Lamar Jackson specifically, and the Ravens run game just looks great. Kind of getting back to what they were a couple years ago. Seahawks, Lions, 37-31 in overtime. We had Geno Smith get the first one in the season for the Seahawks after a disappointing loss in week 1. He had 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. On the Browns side of things, or not the Browns, the Lions side of things, Amari St. Brown, not Amari. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6 catches, 102 yards. David Montgomery, decent game, 67 yards and a touchdown. But even though they were putting up points, a touchdown in every quarter, the Lions couldn't stop them. They need some better defense. And the Seahawks don't necessarily have like a blow you away offense. They have a quarterback who can play really good at times, but is pretty good in Geno Smith. And he has some weapons, but not really a lot. They're pretty limited. So this Lions defense, it's not looking too shabby. Next, we had Titans Chargers, another overtime game. That one went really back and forth. Nick Folk with the overtime field goal winner for the Titans. Justin Herbert did put up 305 yards and a couple touchdowns, but all for naught, and now they're 0-2. So I don't know what's going to happen with that coach, Brandon Staley. I've been seeing a lot of people saying on Twitter or X or whatever that he's going to be getting the axe, and he's probably not going to finish the season. We'll see. The Titans, though, they just keep finding ways to win when you least expect it. Bears lose again. The Justin Fields hate is insane on social media. I see so many people making fun of him, either the style he plays or how he tries, that he's basically not a pocket passer and he's trying to be one. I like Justin Fields. Really good guy, I think. Has a lot of talent, has athleticism, is extremely young still. The Bears, I think they'd be moving off of him too quick to get rid of him right now. But losing to the Buccaneers, who are only being quarterbacked by Baker Mayfield, is not something to be happy about, especially a 10-point loss, 27-17. Baker is a decent quarterback, but we all know that he's extremely limited. And this Buccaneers team is basically a shell of what it used to be. So the fact that they're 2-0, amazing. Maybe there's more to it than I'm giving it credit for. But we'll see if that continues on. But the Bears, I think you just really need to do a better job of supporting Justin Fields and giving him better weapons. DJ Moore, he's okay, but he's not. Is he top 10? I don't know about that. Maybe you should be looking for a top 10 wide receiver to be pairing with him, or someone in the backfield who can take some pressure off with a great run game. Next we have Chiefs Jaguars. Chiefs get back on top with a win, 17-9. Mahomes 305 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pacheco, the running back, 70 yards. Christian Kirk had a good bounce back game for the Jaguars, even though they only put up 9. He had 11 catches on I think 14 targets, 110 yards. So some nice things there for the Jaguars, but a really tough game, obviously. Tough one to lose at home, but the Chiefs are really, really good. So Colts Texans, it was the battle of the two quarterbacks between CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. Richardson came away the victor. Ooh, excuse me. Fighting some morning yawns. Apologies. Colts Texans, yeah. So CJ Stroud, 384 yards, pretty damn good. Richardson had pretty good stats too. See if I can pull that up without losing too much of this. Sorry, I forgot that Richardson came out of this game and Gardner Minshew came in and won this game for them. I totally forgot that happened. Gardner Minshew came in after Richardson had been 6 for 10, 56 yards. He went this is Minshew, 19 for 23, 171 yards and a touchdown. This guy just does not lose. Sorry, I got really close to the mic. I just got excited, but Minshew, no matter where he goes, he does not lose. It's amazing he's a backup anyways. Oh, snap. Did not mean to get rid of that. The next score was nope. 49ers Rams. 49ers win that one late. 30-23, 7-point gain or win there. Stafford played pretty good, 307 yards, 1 touchdown, but not good enough. That team is really interesting. They have this rookie wide receiver named Puka Nacua or something like that, and he was like the 19th wide receiver drafted in the draft, but he's got like 25 catches through his first 2 games, so he's looking pretty good. They don't get Cooper Kupp back until week 5. Is the reason Nacua is so good because of the system, or are they just really good at picking wide receivers, and that's why some people are trying to say that Cooper Kupp was only so good because of the system. I don't know. We will find out when Cooper Kupp comes back and plays, and we will see how Nacua does and whether Stafford is able to stay healthy and motivated through the season. Giants Cardinals, that was a crazy game. The Giants had to put up all of their 31 points in the second half after being shut out in the first half. Down 20-0 for sure at one point, if not worse. Jones had a good game, but come on, man. This Cardinals team is not good. They just lost last week to the Commanders, who did win again this week, but over another bad team in the Broncos, 35-33. I think the Giants are a good team. I think they need to move off of Daniel Jones. Now, I'm a little biased in saying this because I did trade away Daniel Jones from my fantasy team this week. No regrets there. I was able to get one of the best wideouts in the league for him in Deebo Samuel. And, Daniel Jones's upside is his run game, but his decision-making is poor. His protection, just by his offensive line this year, is extremely poor. He might have a couple good games like that, but I think he's going to have a lot more bad games than good ones. And I'm not sure he's the quarterback of the future, even though he has been paid. So I thought it'd be better for me to get off of him while there was still some value there available. So we will see what happens with that. Cowboys win. We'll get to that. I want to talk about that at the end. I already talked about Commanders Broncos a little bit. That game was pretty crazy because the Broncos almost tied it at the very end with a Hail Mary pass, but they failed the 2-point conversion, losing by 2. Dolphins Patriots. Dolphins won that one. That game was very back and forth, very wild. Patriots are 0-2, but that doesn't mean they're a bad team. They're still, I think, actually a very good team. They're going to be that don't get caught sleeping type team this year. Saints wins 20-17 by 3 points. Steelers win 26-22. Those were the Monday night games. Both those games really sucked to watch. The Steelers-Brown game was semi-decent at the end. But yeah, those games were really tough to watch. Hopefully the next Monday night will be better. And we'll look at that too. But first, let's get into this Cowboys game. The Cowboys game was really fun to watch because once again, they were extremely dominant. As a fan, you're going to love seeing that. Dak Prescott started off I think 12 of 13 or something like that to start the game. Jets offense did some nice things. They were able to put up 10 points in the second quarter. Zach Wilson had some moments where you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's why they drafted him, because he actually can throw the football pretty well and very beautifully when he actually tries, or when he actually has protection and a good play going for him. But he's small, easily rattled, it seems, and clearly didn't have enough time with the first team unit. Obviously all that was going to Rodgers, but there's hope. Not a lot, but a little bit. Cowboys, they showed some more weaknesses. We saw a tiny bit of weakness in the very first game, but we saw a few more here in the second game. which is good because it gives the Cowboys some things that they can work on, improve as they move forward throughout the season. You don't want to be, the goal isn't to win all your games in September. The goal is to win all your games in December and November. And I heard somebody on the Cowboys saying this themselves. I want to say it might have been Micah or Jaron Kearse, somebody on the defense for sure. And I totally agree. We don't want to be peaking now. We want to be building up our momentum right now. We want to find things we need to work on and things we need to be trying to hide, basically, just like every other team in the league is going to be. It seems to me that our O-line is great, assuming they can stay healthy, just like usual. And then it seems to me that our defense is the best that they've ever been this season. Good enough to win a Super Bowl, definitely. Hopefully Micah doesn't slow down like he has the last couple seasons. Hopefully he can stay at this like rate that he's going, where he's just getting sacks and disruption, and he's super confident. He goes live on the Bleacher Report app. If you haven't checked that out, I think it's called The Edge with Micah Parsons. And he does this. He was talking about how he considers himself a lion, and he walks around the Cowboys facilities roaring. And I just like, that sounds a little insane, but also exciting. That's the kind of player you want on your defense anyway. All right, I had to pause there for a second. But yeah, so he's an interesting player to say the least. Trayvon seems to be doing really well still. J-Ron still really well. Our defensive line is basically like at its peak right now between Dorrance Armstrong, DeMarcus Lawrence, Sam Williams, etc. Odigizua, I think is how you say it. I'm excited. Next week we have Arizona. They already played the Giants, Commanders, lost to both of those teams. We beat the Giants 40-0. I think we can handle Arizona. The actual team I'm most worried about our first loss coming to is in week 4 to the Patriots, especially if they are 0-3 at that point. I'm worried about us looking past them, and that coach is just too good to do that. And it's hard for me to see them starting 0-4. So we'll see what happens with that. That's it basically for the NFL. I'm going to talk fantasy football real quick. I made some trades on my fantasy team. Let's see here. Pulling up my Dynasty app. It's loading. Here we go. Yeah, so made some trades. First trade, I think I told you guys about the 2 previous ones where I got Michael Gallup for Isaiah Hodgins, which was great because I basically picked up Isaiah Hodgins from free agency. So I basically got Michael Gallup for free. And Michael Gallup doesn't have like a great season or anything, but if Dallas does have some wide receiver injuries, he is trusted in that offense. I know that they will go to him, and he does get touchdowns. So it's kind of like which one of my just in case type guys. And Isaiah Hodgins wasn't doing anything for me. And then I also made the trade of getting Dak Prescott and Justice Hill, who played for OSU. If you don't know, Oklahoma State, go Pokes. I gave up Tyler Algier. Thankfully, Tyler Algier actually had a bad game. And Dak Prescott had a good game. I still lost. I'm still 0-2, unfortunately. Hopefully, I'm playing Brennan this next week, my friend. If you don't know him, and his team is 2-0 and very good. So not super confident, but I did make a couple trades to improve the team a little bit here recently. And those are the ones I really wanted to talk about. Go back down to the bottom here. I traded away Daniel Jones for Deebo Samuel. I mentioned that earlier. Basically, I kind of see the writing on the wall, basically, that Daniel Jones isn't going to be working out long term, probably. This may be one of his last productive seasons. We'll see. I could be wrong, but I just feel better about trying to get something for him than risking and getting nothing. Getting Deebo Samuel feels very good to me. Also went in there and traded Jahan. I'm not sure how you say his name. He's on the Washington Commanders, wide receiver Dotson, and my first round pick. in exchange for Christian Kirk, the number 1 wide receiver who I said had that breakout game this last game for Jacksonville, and Gus Edwards, the other running back for Baltimore. So I've got both their running backs now who basically split carries. So yeah, I gave up my first round pick, which is fine. I've got lots of first round picks from other trades that I've made, so I'm not really worried about that. And if I can win some more games, my first round pick may not even be worth that much in the end. And I just really wanted to get some better players in here to try to help my team out. Let me go ahead. Sorry for the silence. Yeah, so now I was able to move Debo and Christian Kirk both into my starting lineup. That helped me out a little bit. I'm still projected to lose by like 25 because the guy I'm going against has Jalen Hurts, Tony Pollard, Christian McCaffrey, Jalen Waddle, Josh Allen. It's a stacked team. He's picked very well. But I've got a lot of good players with I've got a lot of good potential players I can go off. So there's definitely an upset chance. It's fantasy football. You never know what's going to happen. Hopefully I'll win week 3. Loser of our fantasy league has to eat waffles at Waffle House. And they have to eat like 24 of them or be in the Waffle House for 24 hours. And each waffle you eat will bring down that 24 hours by 1 hour. So you can basically eat your way out by eating 24 waffles or whatever time you have to meet the time limit. So essentially, if like an hour goes by and you eat a waffle, you could consider that like 2 waffles basically because you took out 1 hour of time and you ate a waffle, which is 1 hour time. So I don't want to do that though. I'm a small dude. It's going to take me like the full 24 hours to eat 24 waffles. So I'm trying to avoid that ending. Moving on from the football talk. NBA stuff I really want to talk about, right? Crazy weird NBA rumor happening yesterday and the day before. In fact, I got to Google it so I can get you guys the details, and you'll be able to tell just by what I'm Googling. I'm going to type in OKC Thunder trade rumor Dame. That's right. NBA Insider hints Damian Lillard possibility in Oklahoma City. What? How is this possible? Well, according to on the Crossover NBA podcast, Chris Mannix was optimistic about Oklahoma City's chances that the Thunder have momentum near the trade deadline. Trust me, I wrote this last week, Mannix said. I believe I'm going to call this an educated opinion that if Dame is still on the Blazers roster in January and if OKC is overachieving, if they're playing really well, and don't be surprised if they go out and make a run at Lillard. Okay. That is hilarious and crazy. Could let me bring the camera back up. Could OKC do this? For sure. They could. Totally possible. They have the players. They have the draft compensation. They're in like a buying mode basically now. We're not really in a selling mode as much as we used to be as far as like contending. Trying to add players, not really get rid of them. And the whole Heat Portland thing, there's basically no traction. This is worse than like Philadelphia, Brooklyn got between James Harden and Ben Simmons. This is way worse, I think. Sorry, there's an ad that popped up on my screen. I had to get rid of it for a second. Anyways, now, even though it can happen, technically, it won't happen because I can think of like a million reasons. Number one, Dame isn't super loved in Oklahoma City because of the bye-bye. Him beating us and Paul George and Russell Westbrook and sending us home. We have Josh Giddey and we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and we have Mitchich and we have Trey Mann and we have Kassan Wallace and we have Isaiah Joe. We have so many guards already that are young and have earned their spots on this roster and have earned a chance to develop and get better. It'd be wild if OKC just threw that away and gave all that work to another team. Would he help us improve our team? Yes, but if we were really going to make a big swing trade, why wouldn't we try to like get somebody that could fit in with Giddey and Shea more rather than either replacing one of those two or trying to fit him in with those two? It doesn't make sense. Like, why wouldn't we go after someone like, I tweeted about this, but like Zion, who is already upset kind of with the team. He's a super athletic wing. He's young. The age is like all match up. He's averaging like 26 points on like 80% shooting, basically. We lack size. Chet is nice and tall, but he's skinny. We don't have like a big pound, like muscle guy, you know? So like, why would we do that? Like, wouldn't we rather trade for Towns from Minnesota, another big guy that could actually fit in on the roster and help the team, or even go back to the Pelicans, like Brandon Ingram would still be better, and he's not even the best player. You know, that there's just wild. I think what's going on here is Chris Mannix just said some wild shit either, and didn't really expect for it to go like to get carried on, or he is like working with Dame and trying to help Dame get traded to Miami, and because they're trying to make Miami think that they're not the only team interested. I saw a thing the other day that said like Charlotte was interested in being like the third team in these talks and getting like Tyler Hero matched up with LaMelo. Yikes. Terrible team, in my opinion. You'll score some points, but you'll never stop anybody. Excuse me. So yeah. Those are the trade rumor things. Just some interesting stuff, but I did mention earlier that I did some way too early NBA awards. I'd like to go through those now. Starting with MVP. Now, I don't know who's going to win MVP, but in my mind, I've got like, 1, 2, 3 kind of in my mind, like what the rankings will probably be. And the way I decided is like who's going to be like the guy who wins MVP lately is usually, first of all, the guy wants to win MVP. And I mean, okay, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe Jokic didn't want to win MVP and he did anyways, and it just happened because of his play style, but that seems way less often. You see guys like James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, even, and Giannis and Embiid all won their MVPs because they wanted to win them. They were trying purposefully to win them. So that's why I have my number one MVP this year is Luka. I think this is the year Luka's actually trying to win MVP. I know we've thought that in the past that he was just going to come out here, average triple-double, win 50-something games, top 3 seed. It hasn't happened yet. His team just hasn't been good enough. His team is better this year. He seems to be a little bit better this year. This could be it. If it's not him, though, my number 2, I have Giannis. Giannis is kind of like fading as the face of the league right now. And I don't think that sits well with him. I think he's going to come out here and be dominant as fuck, and he's going to win a bunch of games and go for that MVP again. I think your dark horses for MVP, I think Jokic will be in it just because if guys get injured and he's still doing his thing, he'll be in it, the talks at least. But 2 guys that I see as like coming out of nowhere a little bit. One, SGA, who's already a little bit tiny bit in MVP conversation last year. That may not happen though, because they added players and his scoring could go down thanks to like Chet and Kassan Wallace and, just Mitchich and guys that they added to the team. On the other side, I had Anthony Edwards. Yeah, Anthony Edwards from Minnesota. Maybe he has his breakout MVP season this year. That's the only kind of guy I could see as like surprising, like new. Rookie of the year, it's going to be between, obviously, Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren. There could be a dark horse out there, maybe one of the Thompson twins. Maybe Anthony Black shows us something we haven't seen before. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably going to be Wemby or Chet, though. I think Chet's got the easier path because he's got better teammates. I think you might say like, well, Wembanyama's going to get more shots. True, but I think Wembanyama would be a much better player in like a Warrior style system where he's just surrounded by these skillful players and he's able to focus more on his defense and stretching the floor and getting those putbacks and stuff like that rather than trying to make him your main focus of your offense. Maybe he can do that. We just haven't seen that yet. We'll see this season though. Defensive player of the year. Jaren Jackson. That's who I have winning. Mostly because I just don't really see anyone else is going to be going for it. Maybe Bam, but probably Jaren Jackson Jr. MIP, most improved player. Best option I saw for this was Cade Cunningham. It's not that he's averaging bad numbers, but he hasn't averaged over 20 points a game yet. I think he'll do that this season, and I think he'll average close to 10 assists a game. So, yeah, he just seemed like the best choice for that. And then the Clutch Award, the NBA Clutch Award, which they gave last year to, I think, De'Aaron Fox. I would love to see SGA win that this year. Shea is going to be the guy with the ball at the end of games for Oklahoma City. He's improved, as you could tell, by how he played for Canada in FIBA this year. So I think he could definitely come away with that Clutch award. And Coach of the Year, I had 3 different guys I could see winning it. Udoka for the Rockets, because he's taken over that new team. They're going to be going basically with a new style. They could win a lot of games and then get, look a lot better. Nick Nurse, maybe he takes over this Philadelphia team and he actually is able to do something with it. I'm doubtful, but maybe. It's kind of why I didn't have Embiid in my MVP stuff at all, because I just feel like with everything going on, this season is not their season. And then Mark Dagnall, just because he's got so many young players, they could be the new young good team. Yeah, so those are my picks for that. Last thing I want to end the podcast off with is some UAP news stuff. Thank you guys for hanging with me so far. I know it's been kind of a longer one today. Just had a lot of stuff to talk about, and I'm honestly just getting more comfortable and kind of taking my time a little bit more as I talk. But UAP news. Last week when we ended the podcast, I said that tomorrow NASA is putting out a report that I had been mentioning throughout previous podcasts, and I was excited about it. It was very disappointing. Just like the Mexican congressional hearing, unfortunately, just a bust of what we were hoping for. Basically, NASA said, okay, so there was some good news, some bad news. The good news is that NASA said that they admit that they don't know what these things are. Bad news is they said that they don't think it's extraterrestrial, which I'm not sure how they could know if they don't know what it is. That's just me. They also said that they have someone in charge of their research and they were going to keep that person's name secret. And then they came out literally the same day and said it. I can't remember his name. It's Mark something. So I don't understand the secretiveness behind that. But NASA has a UAP somewhat division now, and they are looking into it. And they admit that it's somewhat real. So that's a little bit of progress in itself. I was hoping for some imaging, some reports, anything like that. We didn't really get anything like that. And also Bill Nelson, the head of basically one of the main NASA guys, has not really looked into the David Grush stuff, which is frustrating. Maybe he has. Maybe this is just kind of what everyone's saying who has been looking into this stuff. But it's very frustrating for those of us who don't know what's going on. And, we're just trying to live on this stupid blue and green planet, trying to survive. And all this other shiitake is going on. Hopefully that wasn't the wrong use of the word shiitake. In fact, I better look that up. Make sure I didn't just get myself canceled. Okay, apparently those are edible mushrooms. I thought it was just another funny way to say shit. So there you go. We'll learn something new. Moving on. There are going to be good news. There is going to be another hearing. The select committee got denied by the, Department of Defense, maybe the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. I'm not sure. But Kevin McCarthy did let Representative Tim Burchett know that we are going to do more public hearings. There's been a ton of rumors of more whistleblowers coming out soon. So I'm hoping that those two things are going to collide. We'll get new whistleblowers at the hearing and not the same stuff. Can't get the same people if we want to get some new people on board with it. But definitely in the last week or 3 weeks, the government has been coming down hard on all these programs that are out there to try to reveal and disclose this stuff. Also, kind of interestingly, I've been seeing more Dr. Stephen Greer stuff. So I think I don't know what he's been doing. I don't know. He was very quiet when this for a little bit there when this was going on, and I'm not sure, but it seems like he's been working on stuff. Might be BS, might be real. I guess he's trying to plan like a team to go and take over facilities that have UAPs, UFOs. So we'll see. That's basically everything I got today, you guys, for the podcast. It was so good to let you guys know what's going on with me again. Little bit of life information. I do have a new job. I don't work from home anymore. That's all I'll say. And I love my new job. That's all I'll say. Thank you guys so much for listening again to the Matt Gerow Show. I'll be back next week with another podcast. We'll talk more NFL. Hopefully some more NBA stuff will be going on and some more UAP stuff. But have a great rest of your week and follow me on Twitter, Matt Gerow Show. Comment, subscribe, like, all those things that I always forget to say, and have a great day. Thanks, guys.